BidClips presents Today in Trades, all things sales, technology, and success for entrepreneurs in the home and business service industry. I'm your host, Jim Evans. Welcome to Today in Trades. This is Jim, my co-host, Mickey Cords, coming from you live. We have some great guests on today. Mickey, how's your week? How are things going?
Good. Much better than last week. I'm getting more used to homeschooling, so I'm not as angry and bitter about it as I was last week.
Tackling that Common Core math.
Yeah, no, they're learning how to do it the correct way. But yeah, it hasn't been bad. Easter was really good. My oldest son had his birthday on Easter this year, and he turned 17. That was really exciting, except everything was closed because of the virus, and also because it was Easter. Not even grocery stores were open, and it was snowing outside, so we couldn't do anything. So that kind of sucked for him a little bit, but other than that, it was really good.
Good.
How's your week?
Oh, fantastic. Yesterday I was out in the sunshine practicing my pickleball skills alone, and then woke up to snow this morning. So It's just crazy, moody, in a weird world right now with the pandemic. But on the good news, I was really excited because I was pulling up some of my old invoices. And I think that next month is our 10-year anniversary, not just as Service Station, which was this month. Next month's our 10-year anniversary with Glass Doctor of Atlanta as our clients. And so it was kind of fortuitous that today's guests are actually David and Meagan Nash, who have been purchased the Glass Doctor Atlanta from Jim Bernstein, who used to be my client back then. And so we're just really excited to bring them on today. So I'm going to let you take that away, Mickey. But before we begin, I do want to thank BidClips for making this possible. Go to bidclips.com if you want to see the podcast, read about our blogs, and experience a interactive bid tool that can change your business. So there's a little shout out to our one sponsor. And now we're going to take it over to David and Meagan. So Mickey, I'll let you kind of introduce them and get things started.
Hello, Meagan and David. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing great.
Good. Thanks for coming on the show today. So you guys are obviously a married couple. So I kind of want to talk about that a little bit, about how it is working with your spouse. I don't know how great it would be if I was working with my spouse. I mean, I love him to death, but all day, every day, I think I'd want to kill him by the end of.
I'm excited to see if this podcast turns into a big fight or if it's a super big success. So, we knew when we started this episode, for our listeners, we decided, we have so many husband and wife combinations out there that run stores, and it's now more stressful than ever working from home. And we're like, this is one of the couples in our client base that I was just like, we've got to talk to David and Meagan. So yeah.
When Jim asked me, do you have any people that you think would be good to interview, and you guys were my top pick, I was like, I want to do one and see all about how it is to work with your spouse and how they don't kill each other.
So David and Meagan are dialing in from Atlanta. If you're watching us on YouTube, obviously they're coming in by Zoom, kind of the new way we do life. Hopefully we don't get Zoomed bombed and things drawn all over our faces. So let's just we'll kind of take it away. So first, how'd you guys meet, Meagan and David? How'd you get here? Let's just start with your guys' story first.
You take this one?
Do you remember how we met them?
You can have this one.
I bet he doesn't remember. How did we meet?
I had a house party. My parents went to England for a month, and a buddy of mine showed up with several other folks, and Meagan was one of the people that came. So that's how we met.
That's the nice way he tells people. Normally he tells people that I dented the hood of his truck.
Oh yeah, she sat on the hood of my truck and put a dent in it, along with two other people. I wasn't very happy about.
That's typically how he tells people we met.
Yeah, that's how we met.
It's a good way to get somebody. It's a great way to get somebody's number. You get their insurance car information and their phone number.
And I still don't remember doing that to this day, but he says that I did.
So how long ago was that? How long have you guys been together? How long have you been together, and then how long have you been married?
14 years together and 12 married. Is that right?
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Good job.
I think it'll be 13 years this December.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
A long time.
Yeah. So tell me, did one of you guys own the company before you guys got married, or did you guys decide as a married couple to go into business together after you were already married?
So when we got together, I was in the glass business, but not in Glass Doctor. I actually worked with my father in a competitor. We were competitors of Glass Doctor back then. And that was about the same time the market went down. And we had, in 08, we had to make a decision, and it was much easier for me to go get a job than my father. So I came to work at the Glass Doctor of Atlanta, and never left.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just come to work there. Let's talk a little bit about it, because he's being shy. I met him about that same time, a couple of years later, maybe 2010, about the time Service Station Cat got underway. He was a technician, and he actually won an award. It was the National Technician of the Year in Glass Doctor. Man, David could put in shower doors like crazy. He was a great technician, great with customer service. So that's how I remember meeting him. So don't let his humility fool you. In fact, he won a giant check. He won a giant check at a conference. I remember being like, how come I never get a big check? And do you still have that check, David? Where is that check, and why is it not behind you?
I think Shirley has it. She promised she would mail it to me, and then it never arrived.
Yeah, it's lost. It's probably in her basement, hanging on the wall.
Lost in the
I might have to go call Shirley and see if I can negotiate that check into my possession. So
I think it's the same check they use for every time. Just wipe it off, rewrite the name.
They just white it out. So nothing makes you feel more valuable than having your name written over the last technician's name. And so, so David, David was a lot like Bid Clips, a lot like this podcast. He built his business by being in the business. And that's why it's so powerful, even on this podcast, for us to just interview the people who we've been in the field. We know what this is like. And so, David, talk about that, your rise from going from your father's business, you're stepping over to a competitor. I think we can all identify with that, those of us old enough to remember. How'd that feel? What was that like?
It was tough leaving the family glass business, for sure. I mean, my dad taught me everything I knew up till that point. But I think, in the long run, it worked out good. Now, the one thing that I like, or that worked out really well, is that I've done every position in this business. From technician to answering phones as an ISR to even a little bit of outside sales, which I hate, but I've done it. So, and now, I was the manager for a couple of years before we actually bought in. And then now as the owner, it's good to be able to do everything you ask your team to do.
I think that makes a huge difference in any business.
Yeah, right. I once heard a great quote that said, you never want to ask somebody to do something you're not willing or to do yourself. And, that really does embody the way that you run your team from what we have seen, and the way you handle us too, as a provider. That's fantastic.
So David, what about now? Is your dad, is he still in the business, or did he move over from the competitor to the Glass Doctor?
No, so he's currently retired. He retired last year, but shortly after I left, he transitioned into a manufacturer instead of an installation company. So we actually started using him as one of our suppliers.
Oh,
so
that's fantastic.
He actually benefited too.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, and
And then Meagan,
I think we're going to see some of that collaboration after all of this passes too. So that's really cool to see how you were able to bridge both of those.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Meagan, what did you do before you guys bought the Glass Doctor? And when you guys bought it, did you immediately start working there, or were you still doing other stuff?
So while David was a tech at Glass Doctor, I was doing marketing. And then when I got pregnant with our second child, we decided that it was best for me to stay home. And so I was doing marketing from home for a little bit, and then I stopped altogether. And
marketing for the Glass Doctor?
No, marketing for a different company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so when we decided to start buying the company, we kind of just talked about things that I could do to, help out, and marketing was one of them. And so I think I joined in 2016. I think 2016 was when I actually started doing things for the company, and I started out doing marketing, and then I kind of slowly added on tasks. I do the payroll, and when we started working with BidClips, I kind of took that on, and I still pretty much oversee that for the most part, and odds and ends, kind of just like husband and wife type things. David will text me and say, he needs help doing this, and I'll just, he knows that I'll be able to do it fast for him, because I typically work from home, so.
That probably makes the working together a little bit easier, that you're not in the office together all day long. I'm sure that probably helps a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. When people ask how we do work together, that's how we work. That's how it works. We pretty much, I think we social distance all week except for Tuesday, but that helps us because I'm at home and he's in the office, but we can call each other anytime and such. But it's nice. It's nice because then when we get home, we're done with work, and it's just
right
and such.
That's really a cool concept. I haven't thought about that as like a silver linings, even with this situation, being able to kind of use the new world we're in of social distancing to save your marriage in the middle of working together. So have there ever been hesitations? How about you from you, David? I mean, I've never worked with my wife. She's way smarter than me, so she's at a hospital. But I'd imagine if she called me tomorrow and said, I'm going to work with you, there's all sorts of feelings that go through, hesitations. Talk about that. How do you feel about Meagan kind of stepping into this role?
In the beginning of when you started working there, at least.
Right.
Probably not anymore, but in the beginning, was there any hesitation?
It's definitely scary because, you don't want the business to ruin the marriage or the marriage to ruin the business. You have, it's a juggling act between the two, and you've got to, of course, sometimes we want to strangle each other, whether it be because of business or because of work, but at the end of the day, we've got to do both. So you can't let the argument at home affect what you're doing at work, and vice versa.
You kind of have to know when to turn it off. But like I said, when we are both home, that's when we have family time. But just like you guys, I'm sure David is a workaholic. And so he'll, we're literally laying in bed with our laptops, and he's, looking through the schedule, or I'm looking through emails, but you just have to kind of know when to switch gears and turn it off if there is an argument or something is bothering us, work related or home, just know when to kind of.
I think that even if Meagan wasn't working in the business, from what I've seen, we all know about, I'd say 70% of our customers are women. Okay, so it's very difficult for me to get into the mindset of what does the homeowner, the stay-at-home mom, expect, and how do we make her happy, right? That's our goal, is to make the wife happy. So it's a lot. I mean, I'm not saying necessarily for me to make my wife happy, but we're trying to sell to the customer, which is somebody's wife. And, Meagan has a lot better grasp on how to make that happen than I do. It's hard for me to get in that role, and she can definitely do that.
It's really a powerful statement, because so many of our clients oftentimes are just male dominated, a guy in a truck or male dominated group. And when I tell them that our demographic in the trades business is, late 30s female, they almost argue like it's not true, because we're always just thinking about our few contractors we service or et cetera. But if you step back, those are the people that pay us, to take care of them, that actually call again and again, because once you earn that trust, it's less about price, it's more about how well you're going to take care of them. And so, David, you just hit on a really key point. So for those of you listening that don't have maybe you're not married or you don't have female influence, reach out to a marketing firm, reach out to a friend, and find someone from a female perspective to help you with the way you present your bids, the way your guys dress, they wash their clothes, things that are important. And so that was a really powerful, I think, silver linings. If you missed that, I just wanted you to hear that. Doesn't mean you have to run out and get married or dent somebody's truck to go get married, but you definitely need to take into consideration that it's, your perspective is not always correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tell us about the kids. How do they handle, I grew up in a family where my mom and dad worked in the business. How do your kids handle this?
Well, our youngest doesn't really understand what's going on, but my daughter, it's kind of just all she knows, she's running down the hallway saying, "Are you guys done working yet?" During the evenings, or trying to show us something. And typically we're like, "Hold on, we're doing something with work," but it's just the norm for her. So it's not really weird to her that both of her parents are at the same company.
Your kids have crazy schedules, right? I follow Meagan on Instagram, and I've seen some of your daughter's cheerleading stuff. You guys are busy parents. Like, your kids are involved in a lot. So how do you balance that as well with, owning a company? And does one of you Meagan, do you take on more of the kids' schedule, and David, do you take more of the work schedule, or?
Yeah. So because I'm able to work from home, mm-hmm. David's in the office during the week, Monday through Friday. So before all of the school and sports and life has shut down, I am the person that takes them everywhere, and car riders and such. Right now, though, it's so crazy because for the past 4 weeks, I literally have gone from, our typical mom duties of everything we do, cook, clean, taxi, or whatever. But now I have had to learn to be my son's physical, speech, and occupational therapist, because he does it virtual all week. And now I'm our daughter's cheer coach. He's her coach too. We're literally in the backyard having to talk. She does virtual practice. And so it's so crazy because we're out. I'm at home, but it's double what I was doing with all of this. Right. And so it's been so crazy. I almost prefer being in my car all day like I normally am.
Well, let's talk about little Asher for a minute. Well, first of all, if you're not following Glass Doctor of Atlanta on social media, follow it. I don't care if you're a competitor or another glass doctor or just a person, it's fantastic. They have blended their family well into the business to, instead of hiding things with each other, they showcase their kids at the work. They showcase each other. They showcase coworkers. Well, one of my favorite pictures of all time until this day is Asher, their little son, sitting in front of the Glass Doctor counter. And it just embodies just their family, their willingness to bring their kids into what they're doing. And I think that's gonna be powerful for him as he grows up, for Addison. And let's talk about Asher, because he's kind of a celebrity. I wouldn't say kind of, he is a celebrity. And I want to make sure we touch on that, because that's a really cool part of this story. So talk about Asher, Meagan.
That's very easy for us to do. So Asher is our second child. He's almost 5. He'll be 5 in July. And what we say, he's a celebrity in Georgia. He is well known around the world, but mainly in Georgia, because a few years ago, we were actually trying to submit Asher to different modeling agencies, and one of them responded back to his pictures that I submitted and said that they weren't going to submit him on to the casting because it didn't specify they were looking for a child with special needs. And if you do not know our son, Asher has Down syndrome. And so I was really, really mad. And David, he was like, you know what, whatever, forget it. It's not that big of a deal. But to me, it was a huge deal. And so I took it to social media with the post and the pictures. And overnight, it had hundreds and thousands of views and shares and likes. And to the point of the next day, we had a call from that clothing company. Their CEO invited us in. They were housed in downtown Atlanta. And I think like a week later, we met with them and we got to sit down with the CEO and have a real conversation about why it was important, why what happened shouldn't be happening in the world. And he really understood my point of view and how people with disabilities are not used in advertisements as much as they should. And I think 3 weeks later, Asher ended up in their winter ad. And so he's the first person with a disability to ever appear in an Oshkosh clothing ad. And if you don't know the Oshkosh or Carter's brand, they have been a clothing brand for over 120 years. And that was the first time ever that they had used somebody like Asher. So it was pretty powerful.
Wow.
It's powerful to say because his story pops up all the time on social media or I'm tagged by different people constantly still.
Wow. And if any of you are listening from the Atlanta area, I mean, if you have a chance to meet him, he's just the cutest little boy. He's just so awesome. And Addison's a great big sister, and just, you can see their family stuff. And I encourage you to follow it because when I met Meagan and David, they really changed the way I see, my aunt was a special needs director in the state of Montana. So I've always grown up just being part of the department and loving it. But it changed the way I viewed it from a business family, because sometimes we can, if we have struggles, whether it's PTSD from the military, for a lot of veterans listening that are maybe on the ledge of, I want to start my business, right? Or it's, you have a, like I love how Meagan said, different ability child, right? Or you have maybe you've been paralyzed or something. I love how they rose above the challenges, embraced it as a family, and have used it to share their story, and they do it very humbly and lovingly. So go give them that. You'll enjoy it. The whole family will enjoy it.
And when we say their kids are cute, like they are so cute. I love watching your Instagram stories. And Asher, tell us what his Instagram handle is, because everybody should go follow it and look through it. And Meagan's always posting stories on it, and it's just adorable. I really, really enjoy it. I mean, it just like brightens my day to just see you guys as a family, and especially your daughter and him interacting together. It is so cute. I mean, my boys love each other a ton, but I don't know if it's just that they're all boys, but they mostly fight with each other and are just like screaming at each other all the time. And your daughter just seems like she's just like loving on him all the time. And I don't get that at my house with my boys.
Only for the camera.
Yeah, listen, they have their moments.
I'm sure.
Sometimes but honestly, a lot of times we have to tell her to just stop like picking them up and, playing with them, because sometimes he just wants to be left alone and she's constantly wanting to pick them up.
So what is the Instagram handle, and where can people find your story?
So Asher's it's DOWN_, and it's RIGHTPERF. So down_right perf.
Downright perf. And there's nothing says it better. And for those of you listening that want to contribute or get involved in the whole movement of bringing awareness to the diversity of our society, no matter what that is, reach out to Meagan, reach out to areas. They have Buddy Walk. They have all sorts of really cool stuff you can get involved in. And so good. I just want to make sure we brought that up because it really, it showcases Asher and Addison, but also showcases you guys. It showcases that background story really helps, I think, for me and for us listeners that are running these businesses. If we think we're too busy, it's nice to think about you guys. And I often am like, yeah, I can handle this. So great.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's such a cute just a great, not cute story, but I mean, just powerful story about the Carter's brand. And I've seen the pictures, and I just think that that's so wonderful that you guys are such great advocates for your kids. And I just love it so much. So working though together and being home together, I think I thought I heard you say that the kids sometimes are like, are you done working? So you guys do bring work home with both of you sometimes, and like after hours you're still working. It's not like 5 o'clock you're clocked out and then you go home. Like it kind of leads into your everyday, home life.
In a perfect world, I think people like to think that they're done, or they say like 5 o'clock done, it's family time. But I mean, it doesn't end up. Your phone rings all the time.
My phone is on all the time. If an emergency call comes in that doesn't get handled by Chris, our outside sales guy, it forwards to my phone. So it is always the chance that we could have to work.
And I'm connected to our bid clip shot, like, so I get all calls on that. I mean, it doesn't faze our kids. It doesn't, worry them. They don't get upset. It's just typically it's more or so our daughter is trying to show us something, like a trick or whatever.
Right.
And we'll have a phone call, and so she'll just nag us about being on the phone. But I don't think it affects our home life working from home.
It's usually pretty quick, brief, just jump on to check the email or answer the call and, book an emergency board up or something like that. But for the most part, I would consider that we, as soon as I get home, I'm done. And then just kind of minor stuff that happens.
Showing your kids though, like, such good work ethic, I mean, that's going to bleed into their lives as adults. So that's great.
I was just going to talk to that real quick. I think a lot of times we're always trying to find this balance, and it becomes this never ending, chasing a squirrel that you're never going to catch. And I often tell people, for my life, and I grew up in a family that we were entrepreneurial parents. It's not about balance. Never going to be, because it's a passion. If you're an entrepreneur or you own a service shop, service means 24/7. You are always open, like a family farm, a ranch. And so instead of fighting it, embrace it. And what we talk about and in our family is intentionality. Are you available to be intentional when the people need you? And so I've seen that with David and Meagan. If Addison calls and she needs him, like, he can focus, look her in the eyes, make it intentional. And that speaks louder than the time or the balance, because there's nothing worse than being off work, but behind your eyes, you're just thinking about work. So I think for those of you listening that want to kind of get a takeaway, I think you just heard from these two, don't worry so much about that. Embrace it all together and keep them all going. Because if you're not able to do that, you might not be able to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody can just do that. And some of it just lands on our laps, and some of it we have to earn and learn. But intentionality is kind of the key. So even if you're not a business owner, you're a technician or you're a salesperson, dive into this as a passion, and then just be intentional with your spouse, intentional with your boss, intentional with the people, customers, and you'll find that it's a lot less exhausting.
Yeah. So I have a question to kind of switch gears a little bit. So since David, you'd been working at Glass Doctor for a while, and then you guys decided to purchase the company, and Meagan, you kind of came in a little bit later. So I'm assuming like your employees already knew David as the boss. So when you came in, did that change the dynamic of your employees? Did they have a problem with it at all, or was it an easy adjustment for them to make?
I don't think so. I think they prefer to deal with Meagan at this point. So she's generally, I guess, she's always smiling.
I'm good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, so it works well. I mean, I try to be positive, but work happens and things happen, especially in the mornings.
No, he is positive. I think it's more so I'm not here all the time. And it is, I think the glass industry is I mean, it is a very male dominant industry typically. I mean, we don't have a lot of women that work for us, and that the women that do, one is remote, so she's never here, and then I'm pretty much remote. We have one that works up front, one of our ISRs, she's kind of like the mama here. She cooks and such. But so when I do come in, I think it's just a nice change, just because we are very different with our personalities and how we approach. So if I have a question or need something from one of the guys, if they did something or I want to ask them, you know, I'm just like, hey, how's it going? Where David is not like that when we approach people. So
when I've had the ability. And I've had the ability to watch them in person at their store. I think you guys do a good job of bringing a family environment. I do. I think that, and you got to have a dad who's going to ask you to show up when you show up, or, you know, or discipline when needed. And you got to have the care too. And it's so, you know, we don't have to have this business work break all the time. The key is to be full business when you need to, and full family when you need to. And that's that intentionality as well. So yeah, I think you guys do a good job of that. And I think that's good for our listeners to hear. In the same vein, I've got a few kind of business level for our entrepreneurs listening. You guys are obviously front runners in this space. You run a great business. You're building it. You're growing, even through these tough times. What's driving you to transform your business right now?
Right now, we wouldn't be anywhere near as successful as we are, especially after this the coronavirus, without the ability to quote before we roll a truck. I mean, I consider that we jumped on the Bid Clips platform just in the nick of time, because some people now that are wishing they had that ability. I mean, we are about 30% down with the coronavirus, but all things considered, I think that's pretty good. You know, going off of what I'm hearing from other franchisees, we're definitely ahead of the pack. So I attribute the majority of that to our success through this, to being able to quote without rolling a truck.
And what's that doing for your efficiency of your staff? Are you finding it to be a little bit more efficient? Because it's both sales are down, but then what are we doing with the food we have, right? And are you seeing any impacts there?
Absolutely. When we roll a truck right now, we do give the option to the customer to roll a truck. We charge $35, and we do occasionally not sell a job. So it's not 100%. But right now it's about 90%. Yeah. If we roll a truck, we've sold the job. And that's including the pre-sold jobs that Bid Clips, you know, we put those on to get the final go sizes. But, you know, about 90%. And versus before Bid Clips, we were rolling a truck to everything, and our closing ratio was about 35%, which, you know, was not good. So
that's a huge difference.
Right.
Yeah. And so our technician productivity is through the roof.
That's awesome. So
yeah, how many employees do you guys have?
Total employees 28.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're big.
That's a lot. You guys are big company, big operation.
Yeah, and he's only and David, you're going to be 35 here at the end of the month. So, you know, for those listening and stuff, like, you know, I mean, you're kind of in the middle of our career. I hope maybe hope it's later, but with this happening, and I want to, you know, cap that off. But I want to ask you, so are you, you know, you've been through the recession. That's how you got over to Atlanta. You're going through COVID now. What do you see in your gut? How do you feel it's going to shift our industry again? Because things changed then, things are going to change now. How do you see the shifting landscape looking forward now past this pandemic?
I feel that not just in this industry, but in many industries, homeowners aren't going to want a bunch of strangers coming in their house. I see that people getting online quotes is going to be the norm, the new norm.
Right. Or having the text out as
once they've decided
to do the job.
Right. I mean, and as technology improves, people will jump on this even more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know that I'm biased on the Big Clips platform, and sorry, Mickey. I was just going to ask though, real quick on this vein, Meagan, with a marketing background, what advantages do you see to separating yourself for online quoting? How has Big Clips helped you guys? How are you using it? And how are you kind of telling the story we just talked about using the program from a marketing perspective? What tools does it provide?
Well, so we started working with Big Clips in January, and we noticed even then, so we've been around for a long time, 30?
Since the 80s.
There's been, over 30 years. A lot of our customers were hesitant at first about, getting their quotes from their phone and their email. And like David said, we were just rolling trucks before, so that's what they were expecting. But when this has happened, it's been very helpful to get online on social media and emails and reach out to our customers to be able to show them that this is our way to do our part and make them feel safe and keep them healthy by being able to offer them the virtual quote. And we have heard that multiple times from customers who do give us a review or tell us personally, thank you, thank you for being able to just tell me on the phone and text it to me. And then so-and-so came out just to install. I didn't even see them, and they're not upset about that because they're trying to stay safe and healthy right now. Everyone's trying to stay home and just do their part. So hopefully this, goes away soon. But that's the most important thing we're doing on the marketing side, is just trying to make sure our customers know that we're doing everything possible for our employees to stay healthy and clean. And we just go through explaining to them that they're washing their hands, they're wearing their gloves, they're wearing their masks, they're wearing their booties when they do have to come in and install, or if they have to come in and measure first.
Right. Another thing that the customers appreciate is that they go ahead and pay. They don't have to interact with the technician. They're not touching their tablet or
right.
handing the credit card over or whatever. So there's a lot less, interaction now.
Which actually like.
Yeah, people like it. At first, from me, at first I thought, some people aren't going to like this. They're going to want that personal interaction, but really, those people are few and far between.
Yeah.
And they're, well, it may sound terrible, but they're going away. I mean, those people are not going to be around. It's the new generation that we're going to be selling to.
Well, it's 2020, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that most people are just on their phone and they're sitting there and they don't. And you call, and what do? We click the ignore button, and then we text you back.
Mm-hmm.
Like that happens all day, every day. They would rather you text them. I mean, for me personally at home, I would love to just email all day than get on calls because I'm busy, and it's easier for me to task. But it doesn't take away, like the customer service side of it. Like our ISRs are still very professional and super friendly. If you read what they say back and forth, it's over messages, and they do still call. We call all of our customers, but I just think that it's not only easier, but right now for our customers, it makes them feel very safe, which is what we want. We want to, keep having the jobs come in, even if we're not installing right now. We have customers paying their deposit, and we have a list of customers that are not scheduled yet because they don't want us to come out, but they were totally okay with going ahead and paying their deposit.
Well, and I'll tell you,
we offer.
Mickey set up a lot of Atlanta stuff actually. And, one thing Atlanta does for everybody listening is that, when we're messaging customers with vid clips, we're using it inside of their website. So it's also not sketchy to be texting some technician your information to their phone number. Cause that's always a concern that, especially our demographic, late 30s women, we don't want them just texting people, right? So they can use your website with vid clips to just be communicating and to book jobs and pay for them. So Atlanta's done a great job of embracing the messaging. They've done a great job of presenting their bids with pictures and GIFs and everything to just try to separate everything. Because you have a guy down the street sends an email with just a number, right? With theirs, you can communicate, you can book, you can pay. And this isn't a plug for Big Clips. It's just truly watching them dominate has been awesome for us. It's been very uplifting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, working with your guys' shop as much as I have to do, some of the user trainings and teaching some of your employees how to use vid clips. I mean, the way that you guys use it, I think is how it's designed to be used. And some of the great features that I think that you guys really are utilizing are the follow-ups. It seems like that's helping a lot, not just the automated follow-ups, but your team setting themselves tasks and then going in the next day and seeing all their tasks for that day that they need to follow up with these customers, sending the customers messages or phone calls, and being able to put in the notes that they had given them a phone call and left a message or whatever it is. I mean, I think that's a really big one, especially for your guys' company. That is great.
Yeah, we have changed that follow-up process a dozen or more times. We've played with it, and we're continuing to play with it. Along with the messages, we've tweaked the messages, and basically, and this is a shout out to Michelle, our sales manager. We've basically given her free reign to kind of dial that in to what's working. If it's, if she thinks this, we try it, we try things, it works, it doesn't, we'll go back to the old way or we'll change it to the new way. So that's one of the beauties of it, is it's fully flexible and you can customize it to however you want. Meagan said earlier that at the first it was the customers were hesitant, and that's true, but I think that the majority of their hesitancy came from our office not being confident with it. Once our girls got confident on the phone selling the online free estimate, that went away. It wasn't the customers, it was just us not wanting change is what it boiled down to.
Well, and one thing that's important, you guys have been in business since 1962, I think, right? I mean, or how long has it? No, not that long. That was Seattle. How long has Atlanta been around?
I think it's been like a little over 30 years.
Yeah, and so you have a lot of repeat business. And one thing that drives me crazy as a consultant in our industry is when people are like, well, we have a bunch of repeat business. Well, if you're not, I don't know if you haven't been married and you're listening to this topic, you have to earn our way every day with our customers. Don't just assume they're always going to come back. And now you have customers calling back that have been calling you. It's important to give them a digital experience that reminds them of everything they've had before. One thing that we're working with you guys is, showing before and after pictures, showing little GIFs of different styles. There's so much you can still do. And for everyone listening, these guys care about their customer. The other day, Meagan said to me, and I loved it. She was like, our rating was, come down to like 4.7 or 4.6. And I was really bummed about it. Well, that's awesome, because if we don't care about what customers are rating us, and in your shop settings, you guys should put your Google review right there and a couple of testimonials, so customers see that on every single bid. And the other thing too is that once they had all of this set up, it happens every time now. You don't have to worry. Every bid that is sent by David or Meagan or Maribel or Michelle, it's going to have the same presentation. So that consistency, I think, has been really cool to watch of you guys, and I just really appreciate you leading all of us through this time, because we can get all, scared and petrified, but you guys have just taken it by the horns and said, we are going to get ahead in this. And so hats off to you for that. What else have you guys seen? So as we recap, the industry is changing. People are, we're learning that maybe our perception isn't always truth, right? So you're finding there's different truths out there in the market. Thirdly, obviously it's a tool. You have to use the tool. You have to take the time to set it up. You don't just buy it and it just does your business for you, but it's a tool to make things more efficient. And then lastly, as we move forward, what are some of the improvements? What are your goals getting through this? Are there any numbers you want to share with us, or data of that you've seen improve? Basically, as you guys are looking forward, what are some things you're hoping to have happen here in the next year?
Well, we budgeted for $5 million a year with 3 ISRs. I don't think that would be possible without some sort of program such as bid clips that allows those 3 ISRs to not be on the phone all day. It's so much faster to send a message than it is to make a phone call, listen to everything. It's back and forth. You can communicate with however many people your mind can can think about it at the same time. I mean, everybody's different, but I've seen Michelle communicating with, 30, 40 people in a day that are going back and forth, and it's just, and she didn't have to pick up the phone, so I think that, that speaks volumes to what this can do. 5 million with 3 people is, pretty impressive.
Yeah. And
we were on track to doing.
Yeah, and the ROI on the program for the people listening, I know at the Big Clip side they've made it very affordable, so that you're able to get to drive the profit into your pockets, and that's nice, because a lot of the sales enablement plans are $20,000-$30,000 a month, and we've made ours extremely affordable for the. So if you're interested, obviously go to bigclips.com, check it out, and so yeah, I really appreciate that. That's a really cool insight. All right. Well, I wish we could have met you guys in a real studio with real audio and not by phone and Zoom. So I hope as we look back on this podcast in years to come, it reminds us of the pandemic, but that we remember that was a time we retooled, we got efficient, we built deeper into our culture, into our marriages. And, you can either sit and let life happen to you, or you can go make life happen. David and Meagan, you guys have been a great example to us, and to so many people like Glass Doctor, but also just the open market. That we need your story to be leading the way. So I firmly believe we will get through this. If you're listening to this podcast, again, check out bigclips.com. Check out Today in Trades. Our episodes are on YouTube as well, if you want to see everybody. Mickey, I appreciate you so much. I'm excited for next week's episode. So stay tuned, everybody, and have a wonderful day. Again, thank you, Big Clips, for making this happen.
And thank you, Meagan and David, for coming on this week. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.